This is a 2007 Chevy Cobalt ignition switch. This is the same design that failed, shutting off vehicle airbags and killing innocent victims. We now know that the difference between this switch and one that would have worked properly was life or death. And do you know the other difference? $2. That's right, $2. That's how little this ignition switch could have cost to repair. GM's failure to act in the face of additional deaths, injuries, and complaints went on and on until just 2 months ago when it finally started to recall these vehicles. This recall is a decade late and dozens of lives and injuries short. What is almost as enraging as GM's failure to act is the Transportation Department's refusal to stop allowing companies to hide fatal defects from millions of car owners.
Richard Scott Bailey, a man who served his country and who deserves better from it, and from GM, whose products he used. This Marine is the reason that we're here today, as are the other families, because we know from GM's experience that concealment can kill. GM made a business decision to hide a defect, not only to avoid repairing it, but to conceal it. And it concealed it not only from its customers and from many of its employees, it concealed it from the United States government, and thereby gamed the justice system to obtain a complete shield, broad and blanket immunity from liability for the lethal defects that it concealed. GM has the power itself to do the right thing, despite the shield from liability and the pass that it's been given, despite the business decision that it made to conceal these defects, despite the harm that's been done. Now is the time for GM to do the right thing on its own, without prosecution and without the compulsion of the court.
I was your typical 20-year-old. One of my prized possessions was my brand new car. I had a beautiful red Cobalt. It was great on gas, played my CDs at the perfect volume, and most importantly, it was mine, all mine. I had friends living in different states. Luckily, I had a trustworthy car to get me there, or so I thought. I was driving down our highway in Toms River, New Jersey, when all of a sudden my car went from 45 miles per hour to 0 within seconds. A few months later, the situation happened for the third time. I somehow escaped before car pileup. At that point in my life, I was diagnosed with a heart disease and had a pacemaker and defibrillator implanted in me. The doctors informed me that any form of stress or anxiety was cause for setting off this device. This led my mother and I to decide that this car was surely a death trap, and the game of what if and when again were not ones we were willing to play anymore. Driving this car was like playing a game of Russian roulette with my safety and that of my friends. I can't even begin to explain the fear and confusion that runs through you that moment when you have no control over your car. I cannot comprehend the loss that these families behind me are going through. My hope is that the horror stops right now. I don't want any more drivers to be mourned by family and friends because an automaker hit a deadly problem.
We helped my daughter Amber pick out her 2005 Chevy Cobalt because of its highly rated safety features. Now we know GM was aware of the fact that there were problems with the ignition switch before the car was even available to the public, and that the problem would result in airbags not deploying and protecting her. I feel that GM needs to be held accountable to the public for the deadly and tragic consequences allowing these deadly switches to be used. I believe that it is necessary for the Department of Justice to conduct a criminal investigation to determine if there is culpability by GM, who inside the company should be held responsible. It is my sincere hope that there will be changes made to the law in order to prevent other families from experiencing our tragedy. It is clear that GM is only concerned with their bottom line and not the safety of our loved ones.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. We are the people left behind when a loved one got into what was supposed to be a safe car, a GM car, a car that GM knew for years was dangerous and defective. Our daughters, sons, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, wives, and husbands are gone because they were a cost of doing business GM's style.